Okay, let's talk about the difference between the Color Box by JHS and the Aguilar tone hammer. I plugged it up, I ran some bass through it. We can compare in real time. Let's get into it. Let's start with a control. So this is just going to be the JDI. Okay, that sounds fine. Group. Everything's going through the JDI. So here's our setup here. The bass is coming in to the tone hammer, and then it's going, which is bypassed right now, and then into the color box, which is bypassed, and then into the JDI. So no matter what, you're getting the JDI, but it's a pretty neutral sounding sound, so it's okay. Let's do the same thing, but with the tone hammer. Okay, so immediately it's a little thicker sounding. It's got this nice low end. And after playing this thing for a long time, I know that it rolls off the top end a little bit, but you can't really hear it here. Let's come back over here, and let's do this color box now. So the thing with this color box is that it has this step control. It's got 5 notches. So let's start at the step 1. We have a high and a low switch. I have it on low. This is like, it's like a pad. So this bass is really hot. So I have the pad on, or else it just always will distort. And above it's a high pass filter that's off. EQ is flat. So the volume's pretty low. Let's match the volume. I think there. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. I like that a lot. I want to do this color box a couple more times, but let's increase the step. So that was step 1. We'll do step 2 and step 3 at least. And that'll give a good idea of how this thing responds. That's it. That's what we're playing through. Okay, so that's step 2. Very nice. Let's do step 3. Let's just track it real quick. And I'll show you how I have it set up. So this is how it's set up. Okay, so this is how it's set up. Okay, so that's how they sound. That's how they sound all at a pretty similar setup. Now let's stagger these guys apart. It would help if I lined these up. I don't know. We're gonna find out. Okay, very nice. So that's kind of a quick playthrough of how they all sound. I know what I think about it. I wonder what you think about it. They all sound good. Obviously, this color box step 3 here has a lot of saturation. It's got a lot of like distortion going on, and if you turn it up to step 4 and 5, it really distorts a lot. It kind of starts to sound like a spoon record. Listen to that spoon record, Gimme Fiction, and all those overdriven guitar sounds are. This is what it is. It's just a super overdriven Neve preamp, and that's what this pedal is essentially, is a Neve clone. So that's what it does. But on steps 1 and 2, I think it sounds really good. Obviously, it goes without saying that all of these sounds are very good. They're all professional sounding. They will do the job. I really like the JDI. It sounds good, especially with an active bass through it. I think it sounds really nice. The tone hammer is pro. I just played the tone hammer a lot, and I have to say that it sounds a little different here in this laboratory I've created than it sounded on stage. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One is that this is just such a controlled environment. One problem I was having with the tone hammer that I was hoping to solve with the color box was that the tone hammer was clipping when I had it set up like this. So I was just on contract. I was playing bass on the Norwegian Breakaway, doing a cruise ship gig, and I was out there for about 5 months. Silent stage, so just bass into a DI into an in-ear system. And I was running wireless bass and wireless ears. And so the tone hammer, my signal was being reamped. So I'd go out of my instrument through a reamping system, through the pedal board, and then back out to the front of house. And I think there was some gain staging issues somewhere along the way that because my bass was was overdriving this pedal if it was set up like this, which is just everything flat. But here at home, it's not clipping. So I'll show you. If I play my low B string, it sounds great. It's nice and fat. It's got a round sound. There's no distortion. It feels a little compressed under my fingers. That's just kind of what the tone hammer does. But it sounds good. But when I was out playing on stage, it was distorting. It sounded like this. It sounded like this. So my E string sounded fine, but my B string was like that. So I think that I had too hot of a signal coming into this, and it was clipping. Now here at home it sounds fine. That's something that was outside of my control. You know, there's nothing I can do about that. But I thought it was the tone hammer. So I said, this thing's got too much distortion in this preamp. I need something that's crystal clean. Let me try this color box. Now the color box does do saturation, but it also does very clean sounds. And it does saturation. I liked the option it has. Now if we come back over here to the color box, and we come down here to step 1, I'll show you up close what we're looking like here. So step 1, the gain is at noon, the master volume keeps us about where we've been at, and the EQ is set flat. Now if I play, it sounds really nice. It's clean. It's nice. It's really clean. If I turn it off, that's just my direct sound. That's just the JDI. They sound pretty similar. I think that they feel more different than they sound. So the way they feel in my hand is more different than how they might sound to you. And that's a big point that I want to try and drive home here, is that I think with this type of gear, the biggest difference is not how they sound, but how they feel. I think that they feel more different, and they make me play differently than they sound different to one another. I think they more or less sound very similar in a lot of situations. They both have musical EQs. They have a different type of EQ, but I don't really use these EQs to shape my sound. I more or less run them flat always, and then just notch a tiny bit here and there, just to carve out frequencies or sit a little better. But I'm not doing large tone shaping with those EQs. I think that the color box on step 2 and step 3 are the nicest sounding to me. I think right here it sounds great. I think that that is like, I think that that's a great sound. If you just want clean bass. I think that's great. Sometimes I want it a little snottier. And I think step 3 is great for that. Maybe not for playing Michael Jackson, but if you were playing like some rock and roll, maybe like some Fleetwood Mac. I think it's great. Especially if you're playing a bass that has some pickups that distort a little bit. I find that my precision bass does that, and some jazz basses will do it too. They're just really snotty sounding pickups, and this will help those things to sit better. This bass is pretty clean. And so I don't always want it to distort, but it just depends on the setting. Now let's crank this thing. Okay, so now it's all the way at step 5. It just sounds like it wants to implode. Which is very nice. And if I turn the pad off, oh my god. It's just disgusting. Now the tone hammer does do some of this too. It has an AGS circuit, which is like an overdrive circuit, and then the gain knob also has some dirt in it, like I showed you earlier. So that's kind of got its own thing going on. But I think the AGS sounds best if you dial it in. I think this sound right here is pretty similar. To the color box. So that's kind of the distortion thing. It's a little different. They have a different flavor of distortion, but it's kind of similar, especially for bass. You know, hate to say this, but most people aren't paying that discernible. Ugh, I can't say that word. They're not that discerning when it comes to our tone, especially in like flavors of mild overdrive. It's not that serious. It's what is important is how you feel playing the pedal, and that's what I think is most important here. Is how you feel playing it. So, you know, in conclusion, both are great pieces of gear. If you're looking for one of these pedals to add to your arsenal, I would recommend either of them. I think they're both great. You know, you're not going to go wrong with either. I think it kind of just depends on what you want it to do. I kind of deliberately didn't play with the EQ of either because I don't think it's that important. I think I'm more interested in how they sound, how the gain staging sounds than how the EQ sounds. And I think most people spend too much time fiddling with the EQ than getting like something nice out of the pedal. You know, I know what a 5K shelf sounds like. I know what a 400 hertz notch sounds like. I don't need you to crank it and say, oh, look, there go my mids. But I do want to get into the nuance of like, how does this gain staging work? And so that's what I did here. And you want something that's going to make you play better, that's going to make you play more true to yourself. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters is, does this piece of gear help you play more true to yourself? And if so, great. You know, keep on keeping on. And if not, maybe move on to the next thing. Thanks. I hope you found this helpful. I know that I enjoyed kind of sitting here and going through it all with you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy practicing. And I'll see you next time. Peace.